I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Livestock and Grain Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending September the 13th, where yearling feeder cattle sold steady to another $3 higher. Now the best demand continues to be in the northern plains and the upper Midwest. A lot of your southern plains sales were mostly steady. On your calves, pretty uneven. In the central and western parts of the United States, all the calves sold mostly steady. But down in the southeast, which is significant, it's your best test of calves day in and day out, but your southeastern calf markets were fully $3 to $5 lower, with a lot of spots as much as $10 lower. And the big thing we're seeing there is the discounts on unweaned calves, and predominantly your calves in your southeastern sale barn markets are not expected to be weaned or worked or anything like that. They're mostly right off the cow coming in, and they get so many more of those that the few that might happen to be weaned or worked are going to blend in with the others, not going to get a whole lot of credit for that. But even where calves were selling steady or selling slightly higher, we're entering the time of year where you're going to get huge discounts on your unweaned calves, especially those that haven't had their shots. If they haven't had their shots and they're not weaned, they're going to be well off your market for your bulk of the calves there. All your shots, not weaned, maybe a little bit better, but what you really need is to have at least one full round of shots in those calves and have them weaned for at least 30 days and preferably 45 days. But we're starting to get into the fall time of the year. Got huge temperature swings between your daytime highs and your overnight lows, and that coupled with purchasing these new crop calves and the separation anxiety from being away from their mothers, it's too much for a lot of them. And even if they're bought at a discount, they cost so much money, you just can't afford to have a lot of death loss. A lot of good products out there. You can mass treat these calves and keep them alive, but some of these products are so expensive that you just can't afford to give it to all your calves. Really high dollar shots, you can give them antibiotic type shots, but the best thing to combat the problem you're going to have with new purchases is to be extremely picky when you're buying those calves. Get as close to the ring as you can, look at their eyes, look at their nose, look at their hair, and keenly listen to everything that your ring man, your auctioneer is saying whenever those cattle come through. But we're seeing extreme prejudice on those balling calves coming through. But a lot of your calf buyers want to buy those calves locally. The closer to where they're going to be backgrounded you can buy those cattle, the better. The problem is it's hard to get a lot of numbers put together, and when you're trying to doctor sick ones, you can't get to the sale to buy any calves. So most of your guys, especially in the southern plains, are going to be ordering those calves, predominantly out of the southeast. They've got those big order buying firms. They've got buyers spread out over a large area. There's a lot of calves in that area to pick from. Some of those buyers will hit 2 or 3 sales a day. And but the problem is they've got to bring those cattle into a collection point, a shipping facility, to assemble those ordered calves before they can ship them out. They need to get 50,000 pounds to ship them out efficiently. And when they bring those cattle all together, on top of being at the sale barn, they're with other calves. They've all been exposed to different things. They're nervous. They're stressed out, and those cattle can be really hard to straighten out. Although those order buyers, especially in the southeast, they can put you a lot of cattle together that look alike, like you want, really fast, and that's just a way of life of having to order those cattle and get them put together. But your yearling buyers don't have to be nearly as picky. They're never as picky, and this time of year especially, compared to the ball and calves. But you figure an aged yearling, especially if they've been turned out on grass, if they were going to die, they would have already done it. So your yearling buyers don't have to watch near as closely. Actually, they like the cattle that are a little harder looking. They've got an emptier weighing condition and a thinner flesh to them, so they're buying buying more opportunity there. So yearling buyers are just extremely aggressive right now. We've got a huge number of yearling buyers out there now. You've got a lot of farmer feeders in the mix because we're seeing a lot of silage being chopped. A lot of these farmers aren't expecting a big price for their corn, and if they haven't already sold it, they may decide to walk it to town this year. And so we're breaking out a lot of those lots for the farmer feeders that have been growed up in weeds for a few years. Your smaller feed lots are sending their buyers out, trying to get in there. Your bigger order buying firms are sending more buyers out to a larger area. There's not as many yearlings out right now, and you know, a lot of times you have buyers, whether they're buying for themselves or somebody else, pretty much go to their same little routine of sales every week. But this year they're bidding against people they may not even know. Now a lot of new faces show up in a lot of auction barns. A lot of these video sales are seeing more participation than they've ever seen. They're having more people register online and things like that to watch those sales, and just really having a buying frenzy on these yearling feeders. At the St. Joe Stockyards on Wednesday, they've been in business for about 130 years and probably had their best sale as far as being an active market, all things considered, the way the market is, the time of year and everything. Probably the best sale they've ever had. It was Customer Appreciation Day. They had the world champion livestock auctioneer on hand for a while, but the market was just outstanding on calves and yearlings too. Had a good run. Posted all-time record high prices for the area, for the local area, on yearling cattle. For the load of heifers weighing 834 pounds at 146.85. A load of steers weighed 843 at 163.10. That's never happened in that part of the country there. 163.10 on steers weighing nearly 8.5. 2 part loads of steers weighing 735 bring 172.75 and 173.50. But just awful good prices on yearlings, and we're getting really close to setting an all-time record high yearling price, which the best way to establish that is through the CME Feeder Cattle Index. We're very, very close to that right now on highs that were set in March of 2012. USDA projected this year's corn crop to be the largest on record ever, at 13.8 billion bushels this week. That was up 80 million bushels over August estimate, and up 3 billion bushels from last year's drought harvest there. Fat cattle market about steady again this week. Just not a whole lot of competition there. Fat selling at $1.23 live, mostly $1.94 in the meat. This week's regional weighted averages in the north central states, 800 to 900 pound steer cost you $155.62. Last week, $156.17. A year ago, $141.90. Down the south central states, 700 to 800 pound steer, $155.86 compared to $156.02 last week and $143.02 a year ago. And down in the southeast, a 500 to 600 pound steer, $150.94 compared to $155.53 last week and $142.43 a year ago. That wraps up your feeder cattle market summary for this week. Check out our website for more market information at marketnews.usda.gov. And from the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri, we'll talk to you next week.